Hi, I'm Andrew Roach. Today I'm going to walk you through a spreadsheet exercise that has to do with accounts receivable invoices and kind of an analysis of how an accounts receivable team might go about prioritizing their collection efforts. So I'll get right into it and I'll share my screen. So here's our extract of data. And so first thing we need to do is clean it up a little bit so it's a little bit easier to work with in a spreadsheet. So first issue is that, I have a payment due date here in kind of its own row, kind of messing up the usability of the data. So I'm going to work to get that into the same row as everything else. So do that. There we go. And so now I need to kind of get all this information over here. But because there's that blank row in between, I can't just copy down. So I need to create this anchor down here so I can copy and paste. So do here is, oops, copy and paste the values. So now I can sort it all. Let's create a placeholder column there, reset my filter area. Now I can sort this. All my blanks are down here, so I'm going to get rid of it. And this item didn't have any data in the row below for the due date, so there's nothing we can do with that information at this point. So I'm just going to get rid of it. So copy this data over, paste the values, and then I'm just going to delete these columns. All right, now I'm going to make a flag for whether the invoice is overdue or not. So if this is less than today's date, which we're defining as July 1st, could just use a today function, but we'll go with July 1st just to create the distribution across the year. If it's overdue, then 1, otherwise no. Carry that down. It looks good. Do a little spot check just to make sure it's hitting the right cutoff. And there we go. So, July 1st. All right, then let's figure out how many days these are actually overdue. Days overdue. If this equals 1, then we want to take today's date and get the difference from the payment due date. Otherwise, just give me blanks. Okay, so I got my blanks there for the zeros. So that's good. All right. Take off the filter here, reset that. I have to come back to that in a minute. So I think the next thing I want to do is kind of segment the days overdue that this population inhabits. So at the high end, I have 159 days overdue. And so I think maybe what I'll do is kind of create bands by 30 days. So we'll say tier 1, 2, 3, 4, And this will span from 1 day to 31 days to 61 days to 91 days to 120 days, 20 days to 150. Now I need 7 and then 180. Okay. So it's over here, days over 2, and then define my tier here, or calculate the tier here. I'm going to do a lookup for the days overdue, and then do my squiggly brackets. Actually, squiggly brackets for the days overdue. And I need to anchor that. And then I want it to return this tier. I need my squiggly brackets for that as well. There we go. Tier 6. I need to block that. So it's the saying this is the starting point. So between 150 and 180 is tier 6. So I actually don't need the tier 7 designation. So that's fine. But we'll just copy this down and do another quick spot check. And that looks to be working pretty well. So it's very good. Now what I can do is start doing a count by these tiers. Count equals COUNTIFS. Happen to like the COUNTIFS better, just because it's obviously has more flexibility to do multiple criteria, but it also can handle one set of criteria as well. So I want to use my criteria as the criteria range as column I. So I'll do I to I, lock that. My criterion will be just this cell. And there we go. And then we'll do total amount, SUMIFS. And we'll sum range, pick our sum range as column C. Lock that. And then our criteria range is, again, column I, lock that. And then our criterion is, again, tier 1. And there we go. Now we'll just format this value so it's a little easier to read. So there we have our total amount by our our range of days overdue, and because it's a little bit of a normal distribution, but this might provide a starting point for an accounts receivable team to focus their efforts. But we can take this a little bit further pretty easily. So we'll go ahead and do that. And I want to get my customer, just kind of a list of customers without any duplicates, a unique listing of customers, listing of unique customers, I should say. All right, so I'll just put this into the rows and copy this, paste those values, and then get rid of my pivot table. Don't need that anymore. Just gonna move this over just a sec. Actually, I'll leave that there. And now I can kind of do the same analysis here. Let's do the count, total count of invoices overdue, total amount overdue. And I could segment it into the various tiers. Maybe I'll do that just as an exercise. Although I think from an operational perspective, you probably want to, you know, when you're calling depending on how their accounts payable team is structured, you know, if you're calling a customer support person, then you probably want to get an understanding of where all the receivables stand, so you can collect those and, you know, manage your cash effectively. So then we're going to do COUNTIFS, and this is going to have two different criteria. So our criteria range is going to be column A. Our criterion is going to be customer. And then criteria range 2 is, actually this will just be single criteria because we're just doing account overdue. And I need to shift that. And we'll copy this down. This customer header can go right there. There we go. Amount, again, this is SUMIFS. So I want my sum range to be column C, anchor it, criteria range, column A, customer. Criteria is my customer name. There we have our amount. And we'll format this. All right, and now what we can do is a couple things. I could, since there's 7 tiers, really 6, I'm just gonna get rid of this. I kind of want the count, the total, and the average. And so I could create a separate table for each of those, or I could just copy the tiers over and to create a couple additional columns. So I think what I'll do is this, and then merge these cells. This is going to be the total count by tier. This is going to be total value out by tier, and this will be the average. Yes. Okay. Average value of overdue invoice. So again, I'm going to have COUNTIFS. Criteria range is going to be my customer, so column A. First criteria is going to be the customer name there. I'm going to lock this for the column. Then I need to get my tier count, and that's going to be column I. Lock that, and then my criterion is going to be just this column header. Lock that for the row. And here we have that. And if I copy this over, it should all populate. I can just copy these down. So we have our total amount by tier. Our sum range is going to be column C. My criteria range is going to be my customer, so column A. And my criteria is my customer name. Lock that on column. Then my second criteria, my criteria range is going to be column I for the tiers. Lock that, and then my criterion is going to be the column header, tier 1, lock that for the, there we go. Should be able to copy this over for each tier. There we go. Just copy and paste this format. Now I can just do a simple calculation of the amount divided by our count for each customer. And copy that over, and there we have it. Again, I'll paste the formatting. Okay. All right. Now we can get rid of the by zeros. Actually, not sure if this is going to work, but we'll see. No, it doesn't. And there's, we can do is do an is error formula equals if error this comma is blank, or let's do 0. I don't want to be special. I just want okay, so that's working. Got to get a little bit further. Cool. Paste this over to get rid of those divide by zeros. I don't want to actually replace those. I'm just going to leave them for now, because really all I want to do is sort this. So I'm going to filter this, reset my filter area, and so now I can filter this. Divide by zeros are kind of annoying, but you know, that is what it is for now. But then we can kind of focus and prioritize how we you know, approach our collection efforts. And maybe it's simply you know, filtering by the total amount for each customer. But you know, this is good information to have, you know, if we're having a conversation with our customers to you know, try to mitigate past due invoices that are getting into these later tiers. Certainly we don't want any overdue receivables. And this kind of points to this firm needing to manage their receivables a little bit more aggressively. But given where we are today, this is probably where I want to start in terms of our collection efforts. I guess the last thing I'll do, just to kind of maybe provide a visual of what we have here. Create a bit of a histogram, and I'm not actually going to use a histogram chart preset. This is a little bit kind of like this a little bit better, as it gives a little bit more flexibility. I'll get rid of this. And then I need to move the count to the right axis. So we can kind of see, how the count and the total amounts correlate. And there is a fairly, it's not completely, there's not a lot of divergence here. So anyway, that is a quick little accounts receivable analysis and spreadsheet exercise. And so thank you for taking the time to watch.